It's gone! Oral Roberts takes the lead. They've done it again. An unbelievable turnaround in the ninth. A 3-run blast. Blaze Brothers gets the shower from his teammates outside the dugout. His 12th home run of the year. And Oral Roberts takes the lead 6-5.
Incredible. An incredible moment. As you said, I mean, what happened in the bottom of the eighth is it seemed like they just gave the game away.
Yeah, it seemed so deflating.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, they're done. They're going to have to figure out the elimination game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're going to have that on them. And no, it's just immediately hit, the really bad bunt, and then the home run. And I want to give Bishop a ton of credit because he does what I think is the best thing on these calls.
Yeah.
It's you get your initial words out of the way, and then you let the sound just fill.
Yep.
And I love that he did that. Those are like when people talk through all of it, it's the worst.
So then,
let the sound.
So let's move then to the second game because, like you said, I mean, there's no way that something like that is going to be matched. So going into the top of the ninth inning,
which this game just sounded like it was kind of bonkers in the later innings.
Yes,
it started slow.
It did. It was 1-0 Florida through 6 innings. Yeah. Virginia scores 4 in the top of the 7th. The Gators add a run in the 7th inning. They had another one in the 8th. And so going into the 9th inning, it was 4-3. And then Virginia scores, and it's like, oh man, that's really tough. Connected? Oh my gosh, again? Are we back on the air? Peter, are we back on the air? Okay, we're back on the air. All right. I don't know what was said. Wow, we're 5 minutes into the show and we're already disconnecting again. Not great. So here's what happened to tie the game up in the bottom of the 9th for the Florida Gators.
Jake Berry trying to hang on here for Virginia on the first day of the CWS. There's a deep drive. We got a tie ball game. Long gone. Wyatt Langford clears the stands and clears the slate. We're tied at 5.
An absolute bomb.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of that home run was the reaction from Langford. The ball's off the bat for maybe a second, and he already knows. He turns and screams at the dugout, like, wow. Like, to just know that early in the flight of the ball. And I don't know if you saw the replay. There's this replay in slow motion where the catcher is looking up at him like, are you serious? I cannot believe that you just hit the ball that far in the ballpark. Incredible. And then here's how the game ended just a few minutes later.
No strikes. The pitch is swung on, hit to center. It's going to be caught, but that's going to end the ball game. Tagging and scoring is Caglione, and the Gators win. A game-winning sacrifice fly by Luke Heyman, and the Gators rush all the way out into the outfield to meet Heyman. And Florida, with 5 runs in the last 3 innings and a dramatic 3-run rally in the 9th, walks it off on day 1. A day 1 to remember at the College World Series. Final score, Florida 6, Virginia 5. Oh, we're going to be talking about this one all the way up until tomorrow's game 1.
We will indeed. We will still be talking about it today. Both games end 6-5. We are powered by Access Bank, here for a reason. Yours. Absolutely incredible day 1. And now the pressure is on, Schaefer, Wake Forest and Stanford, and then LSU and Tennessee to match it, if not exceed it on day 2.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to kind of exceed what you saw.
I demand it.
There. So you almost wonder if it can go a different way. You had 2 6-5 games.
Yep.
You had a couple like low
and Stanford. That will be coming up just after 1 o'clock. LSU and Tennessee in the nightcap tonight after 6 o'clock. Mitch Sherman, we think he'll be stopping by. We're hoping to
mound visit from Mitch Sherman.
Hoping to a podcast on the mound. Hoping to talk to him in the noon hour. So we're hoping to have him stop by. But we're also going to have someone from the zoo today. And what's the question that you're going to ask, Mr. Mike Schaefer?
I would like the zookeeper. I'm assuming that they're all zookeepers if they work at the zoo, right? Is that
good question?
Well,
That's
I'll start with that question.
That's the question, I think, to begin
and
the
then,
conversation.
And then I would like their Super Six of the best.
I love this
animals.
I love this question.
And then their underrated animal as well. So they're sleepers.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. You can stop by the way. The 1620 The Zone Hydration sponsor is Zen Water. Thirsty for a change.
We still got these hydration coupons.
We got the hydration coupons, which will be needed today. It's a very humid day here in Omaha. We have the bandanas. Keep that neck nice and comfortable. The fanny packs, by the way, a huge hit. I had multiple people come up to me last night on the show that we did, that Josh and I did, mentioning I love those for my dog's treats. It's a movement.
I feel like
it's a movement.
This PNB has just morphed into just a lifestyle.
It's not a bit, man. It's a true thing. I'm taking Banks for a walk this evening. I'm going to be rocking
Did you use your fanny pack, your treat pack?
I got home and I took him out so fast that I was like a quarter mile into the walk and I was like, oh, rats. But I didn't bring treats last night. It was a short walk. I think tonight will be a little bit longer with Banksy. So we'll do that tonight. Yeah, you can stop by. Come by the Zone booth at the bullpen inside of the Omaha Baseball Village. Register to win a summer prize pack of a grill, Kansas City Royals tickets, ice cream from Ted Wally's, and Rib Shack Barbecue for a year. 13th and Mike Fahey. Lots of other things today. Mike Schaefer will rant about something once an hour.
Ranting.
Daniel Kalin and what happened with him at the Elite 11 camp.
Areola was back in Lincoln.
What's going on at the U.S. Open? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
Well, they're playing golf.
Nice. Good call.
Yep.
They are indeed playing golf. All of that and more. Just a bunch of news and notes. I didn't prep you for this one, but I have an NFL question for you.
Good. I don't want the prep.
All right, perfect. The not prep boy. I have a good NFL question for. I think it's going to be good. I think it will add to some lively discussion between you and I.
My response will determine if it's good or not.
That is definitely true. He is Mike Schaefer. I'm Josh Peterson. We appreciate you joining us today, whether it's on the radio or in person. I just saw Alan Bell tweeted at the Connor Happer show, and we're trying to get him to stop on by and say hello. We need to see Alan next week when you and I are doing the show together. Yes. Is he in Omaha?
Is he here yet?
Oh, he's not in Omaha. Okay, sad. All right, well, maybe we'll talk to him at some point.
Come on, Sportsline.
Come on, Sportsline. All right, more to come here on 1620 The Zone. Oh, thanks for sticking with us through the technical issues. The internet literally went down. All of the internet. The whole internet.
Did Al Gore flip the switch?
Nice. That's a politics reference. We're sticking to sports today, Schaefer.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate the apology.
I feel very bad.
Speaking of Tennessee, we're going to go to Tennessee in just a moment. Hour 1 presented by Union Bank and Trust. People don't have your money. Your money has people. Member FDIC. We are also powered by Children's Hospital and Medical Center in Omaha. Also, a quick shout out. We want to give a huge thank you to our friends at Baseballism for providing our swag today.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm feeling comfortable. This shirt is comfy. We're looking good. I got Ken Griffey Jr. on my head. We're having a great time.
You know, I very much believe it's a wire quote. I won't say the full quote. I'll paraphrase.
Thank you.
You know, look good, play good.
Boom. Bingo. Speaking of looking good and playing good, let's go to the hotline right now and welcome, we assume live from Tennessee, Alan Bell.
A guy that always looks good.
Alan Bell of Sportsline. Alan, what's going on, man?
Yeah, hey, first off, I don't know about that always looks good. We're working on that one.
Oh, that's not true, Alan.
Girlfriend probably goes against that one. But no, man, it's good to be on with you guys. How we doing?
Good, man. Thanks for staying on hold with us for like 15 minutes. We really appreciate it. The most important question, are we going to see you in Omaha?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you said you were having internet issues. I'm having the same issues getting my bosses to shoot me over there because they keep coming up with work. But no, working on that, man. Trying to fly out tomorrow for, games 2,
Monday.
3, and on. Yeah.
All right. Well, we would love to see you down here at the Omaha Baseball Village. We would love to see you in Omaha, and then we would love to make you eat a variety of foods to see your thoughts on runzas and everything else.
Yes.
Oh, God.
We'll hold off on that.
Right there.
Yeah. I want to jump right into to yesterday's action. You love the College World Series. You're in the heart of SEC country. And that game between Florida and Virginia, the way it finished with the absolute bomb home run and then the sac fly to win it. I mean, you get to watch a lot of these top-end baseball teams that are in the SEC. You've seen Wyatt Langford before. Were you even surprised that he was able to hit a mammoth shot like that in the ninth inning to tie things up?
No, I mean, that's what Florida does, right? Let's just say this. For day one of the College World Series, what an awesome showdown between both teams, right?
It was ridiculous.
It was great, man. Like, both of them in 6-5, right? 11 runs in each game. The loser of, each game had 8 hits, so we saw 20-plus hits in each game. And, fireworks there in the ninth inning in both. So, yeah, man, Florida doing that, not surprising. It's kind of surprising that Virginia let that go. They're generally a team that doesn't allow, big comebacks, especially with the way that it was done, being up 5-3, and then it was just immediately 5-5. Man, just brutal for Virginia there. And now, you look at the losers bracket, Virginia and TCU playing to keep their life here. Yeah, man, that's going to be a game.
Alan, how do you handicap these games today? Pretty interesting matchups. It's so funny because we talked about it a lot yesterday. Today was the day I think people were looking forward to more, just given that we got LSU, Tennessee in the nightcap, and the number 1 overall seed playing Stanford, being Wake Forest, of course, in the early window. And now it's like, wow, there's no way that those games can live up to what we saw yesterday. How are you viewing these matchups this early afternoon and evening?
Yeah, that's a good point. And let me say this first. All right, so I bet against Oral Roberts yesterday at TCU on the money line. Now, here's the situation that I'm in. For the benefit of all the great Oral Roberts fans, now I can't bet on them because I don't want to mess up your juice. This is unbelievable what we're seeing from Oral Roberts, and I love it. So I just wanted to say that one. Good luck to them. They're crushing it. Today, we got 2 good games here. You got Stanford and Wake Forest. First off, I think the big question is, can Wake Forest keep the home runs going, right? The Chuck is such a much larger ballpark that not only what Wake Forest plays in, but pretty much every college baseball team. And I know that there's some what's the weather like out there? I know that there were some thunderstorms on the radar. How are we looking right now?
Seems like it's going to be okay today. Knock on wood, it seems like a lot of that stuff is kind of dissipated.
Okay, all right. And I was going to say, what I was checking, the last couple of days, the humidity levels today are going to be much higher than they were yesterday. So we're going to see the ball. Yeah, we're going to see the ball flying a little bit more. So yeah, it comes down to can Wake Forest continue to match? And in Stanford, coming out of a 3-game set there in the Super Regionals, their arms likely to be a little bit tired coming into this one. Wake Forest has great pitching, but keep an eye on Stanford and the leadoff hitter. I swear to you, in 3 games in the Super Regional, they had the leadoff hitter on every single inning. It was nuts, man. So yeah, I'm playing the over in this game at 11. I think that, Wake can do their thing, but Stanford can score some runs as well. And it's Tennessee LSU. I mean, LSU's got the best pitcher in the country in Paul Skeens, but these two teams know each other. They played against each other. So it's not like it's brand new. That being said, Tennessee a little too dependent on the clutch home run, not great in a big ballpark. LSU can mash all over the place. I'm taking the over 9 in this game as well.
So I'm glad we're talking about the totals here, because one of the things that I'm interested in, Alan, with this baseball that's been introduced in college baseball this year and runs just being up, and the Chuck having the reputation that it does, do you think there's really some value potentially as odds makers struggle to figure out how to weigh the Chuck versus the
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it is. And also, like you said, you're going to see sports books that manipulate the numbers. So I'll give you for you. I said manipulate, but it's something nefarious, right? Like, I mean, they take it into account as well. So in the Super Regionals, I mean, you saw totals that were 15.5, 16.5, 17.5, right? The largest we've seen is 11.5, and that's dropped. And that's in the Stanford Wake Forest game. So yeah, man, like they're definitely putting that into play. But understand this, man. Like last year and a couple years before as well, the first set of games, right? Like saw run production around 11, and it's kind of playing into that as we've seen as well, which is surprising considering teams are generally throwing their ace, their best pitcher. But yeah, I mean, this is a tournament that you guys know better than anybody that runs actually decrease as we go along. But then again, so do bullpens, right? So you got to play that into account.
Alan, before we let you go, I mean, we're getting to that part in the calendar where once this ends, we're all obviously going to be counting down to the start of football season. And so it's kind of that like early NFL prep in terms of looking at numbers, looking at win totals, looking at matchups, etc. Has anything stood out to you as you have done that? Maybe an early lean on anything in particular?
Yeah. So yeah, if you look, college football is a little bit more difficult. I want to see fall camps, but you look at the NFL. Look, I like the Miami Dolphins here in the AFC East to win that division, and then also let all the hype get up in the AFC West about the Chargers and the Raiders and all that, and then just put your money on the Chiefs. Don't be stupid. Like take the Chiefs over and win those. Take them to win the division. Nobody's knocking them off that pitch.
Alan, I feel like we need a graphic that's just like kind of a pull quote for movies, and it's just don't be stupid, put your money on the Chiefs. I just feel like you just need to tweet that out. It'll get retweeted everywhere. It'll be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alan, man, we appreciate you joining us. Also appreciate you hanging out on hold while we were trying to fix the internet here in Omaha. We hope to see you in Omaha at some point over the next couple of days. I'll write an email to your bosses if you'd like.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'll keep you updated on the text. And yeah, look, I crashed you guys' show, so I appreciate you having me on. Thank you, man. You guys have a blast out there. Everybody out there enjoying it, man. Have a good day. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Alan. Alan Bell joining us from Sportsline. I still remember, Schaefer, you texted me about him. I don't know what season it was. We were like, hey.
You said you needed an NFL guy.
I think it was 2019.
I was like, you don't need one anymore. I'll give you one.
You were like, there's this guy, Alan Bell. I think that you would really enjoy having him on. And it's so funny because I feel like we got in on Alan Bell on the ground floor, like right before he blew up.
Yeah.
Because at that time, I think it was he an editor? Is that what he was doing?
He was kind of managing the NFL coverage at 24/7 Sports back when it had NFL sites in addition to the collegiate ones.
Yeah.
And then it kind of phased out the NFL stuff, and he shifted over to more Sportsline. And Happer and I would have him on the recruiting hour, and then I was like, you gotta start getting this guy on to just talk NFL, because we were, we just have him on randomly to just talk betting or whatever.
Yeah.
For a recruiting show, natural, But Alan is just fantastic.
He's so much fun.
He would love this event. Like, this event
I know.
is like perfect for him. It is everything that he loves. You get the sports, you get the food, you get the festivities, you get the people watching. If he's out here for a few days, when he goes back on air anywhere,
he's never going to shut up about it. Yeah, I thought last year too. He was a regular with Happer and following the Tennessee story throughout the regular season, and it's like, oh my gosh, they're so good, and then just they fall apart like that. So really fun. Happy that Alan gave us a call. We hope to see him stopping by here at some point over the next week. You can come by the Zone booth inside of the Omaha Baseball Village. Register to win ice cream for a year from Ted and Wally's. Ted and Wally's official ice cream of 1620 The Zone, celebrating more than 35 years with over 3,000 flavors. Benson in the Old Market in Omaha. Just saw a couple of people registering, so stop by. We'll be on the air until 12:40 today ahead of that first game of the day between Wake Forest and Stanford. Also, we're joined today by the Omaha Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium. #1 zoo in the nation. All new tailgate days going on now. Visit omahazoo.com. We will have someone from the zoo join us at the top of the hour, and many things can be conversed about there. Schaefer wants them to do the Super Six of Animals, so that'll be fun. I have a question, maybe a more vain question, but I'm going to ask that question about the attractiveness of animals. Who's the prettiest animal?
Okay.
What's the prettiest animal?
What do you think the answer is for you?
At the zoo? I mean, lions are pretty good. I like panthers. Panthers are just big, muscular beasts. They run very fast.
Okay.
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I have heard about panthers. I am familiar with their speed.
Yeah. I saw a picture the other day of Bryce Young in Panthers regalia, and I was like, oh, that's right. Bryce Young's going to be on the Panthers this year.
Yeah, I haven't quite committed that one to, it doesn't quite fit to me.
Same. I saw, because it was like, I'm used to him wearing the crimson and all that. And so it was the bright blue jersey and the helmet, and I was like, wow, it's different. I got to get used to it.
It's weird because, Anthony Richardson is a Colt. Yeah.
It fits, doesn't it?
It seems normal. Not like a problem for me. But, CJ Stroud, I can't even tell you which team it is.
The Texans?
Yeah, it's Texans, but I
just the look of it. Yeah, it's not gonna. Yeah. I don't think Stroud, the Texans uniforms aren't good. They need to. That's my take. I don't know why they're not the Oilers
on red, white, and blue.
Well played,
Josh Peterson here.
No,
not for America.
I just wish they would change back to the Oilers. I think it's it's classic uniform.
They don't have any affiliation with the Oilers,
but they should. It's
an entirely different franchise.
I don't care.
Titans are wearing the Oilers throwbacks this year.
See, that's disgusting.
But that's the franchise.
They don't have. I don't care. The Browns got the Browns franchise back. Give Houston back the Oilers.
But that's not how the Houston came into existence as this iteration. It's a Texans.
That's fine. I'm just saying, get rid of it. It's dumb.
They'd have to complete a trade.
For the history?
Yeah.
All they got to do is trade a couple Wikipedia pages.
I think you'd have to send a couple draft picks to get the rights to the Oilers.
Wow.
I think, yeah.
That would be incredible content.
The Broncos had to trade to get the rights to Sean Payton.
They did. It's a coach, though. That's not a random historical anecdote.
Not random. You want them to be the Houston Oilers, and it's owned by Tennessee.
So when Seattle your favorite NBA team, gets a team back, you don't want them to get all of the Supersonics history, even though they will be a new version of the Supersonics?
They would have to work out some sort of deal.
Is that how the
Hornets moved to New Orleans?
They were the Hornets for a while.
They were the New Orleans Hornets, and Charlotte got it back.
How did they
get?
Now, how did they get it?
I don't
know.
They
trade something? We need to get. Yeah. We need to get our R&D on.
We got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Though the NBA already having the history of allowing that makes it probably easier for.
See, I think it's way easier than you're making it out to be.
I don't think it's that easy.
Just a couple lines of code on Wikipedia.
Oh, now it's about code?
That's all it is.
I don't know. I don't think you can just separate the Tennessee Titans from the Houston Oilers.
I just did.
I don't think you can do it.
But I just did.
But no one believes you. You're you.
I am me.
You can have this opinion. It doesn't mean that anyone is
surprised that you're not marching with me in the streets with this opinion.
Nah, I can't do it.
You're not going to march in the streets?
I don't want to march in the streets.
Not marching. Well, you believe in society.
I do believe in society.
You're a big society.
And society believes that they're the Houston Oilers / Tennessee Titans.
They do. Society is wrong on this. Society is wrong on some things, and they're also wrong on this.
Well, you're going to have to take that up with society.
All right, I will. When at some point in time, I'll take it up with society. We have so many things to get to when we continue on. Daniel Kalen, what happened with him over the last couple of days? The U.S. Open. I have a question for you about that. Some Nebraska football stuff, some NFL stuff. We only have 2 hours left.
Wow.
We only have 2 hours left. But We also will be back later today, so plenty of time to converse.
Plenty of hours.
He's Mike Schaefer. I'm Josh Peterson. Stop by the Omaha Baseball Village today ahead of this first game between Wake Forest and Stanford, LSU, Tennessee, in the nightcap. We wrap up hour number 1 when we return here on 1620 The Zone. Finishing up hour number 1 here at the Omaha Baseball Village, presented by Union Bank and Trust. People don't have your money has people. Member FDIC. And we still have some hats and some bandanas and hydration coupons from our hydration sponsor here at 1620 The Zone, Zen Water. Thirsty for a change. Please do stop by, get one of those hydration coupons, get a bandana. We have a few left. We have, it looks like, 4 hats left as well. It's going to be a cloudy day, so today the hat, I think, Schaefer, is less about keeping the sun out of your eyes and just more about looking cool.
Yeah, and look, it's a hydration hat. You will be cool if you wear it.
Oh, yeah, indeed. So stop by, get those hydration coupons.
Hats,
yeah?
That baseballism hat.
Yeah?
The 8-bit Ken Griffey Jr.
Yep.
Pretty awesome.
I was at a brewery last night, and a guy came up to me, and he is a Mariners fan. And he was like, where did you get that? And I told him, baseballism, down at the Men's College World Series. And then
Stibbs, huh? Stibbs came up to you?
Sadly, no, it was not Stibbs. It was a different guy. And we ended up talking about Ken Griffey Jr. for 5 to 10 minutes.
I'm going to ask you a Ken Griffey Jr. question.
My favorite baseball player of all time.
That's interesting. Did you ever play the Super Nintendo Ken Griffey Jr.?
No, I didn't. I
Did
feel
you
like
play
I'm a
the
little
N64 Ken Griffey Jr.?
We were a PlayStation
Josh
household.
has played them.
Yeah.
Those, so I like Michael Jordan was never as cool to me as Ken Griffey Jr. was when I was a kid. Like, Ken Griffey Jr. exudes coolness in a way that I don't know that any other athlete that I have ever watched can do.
Why do you think that
Everything looks so effortless and easy, and he runs like a gazelle, and when he catches the ball with his bat, it flies 700 feet, and his swing is like the smoothest swing in baseball history. Like, and then he's
It's a
wearing
gorgeous
a backwards
swing.
hat. Like,
Yeah.
it's just everything about him when I was a kid in 1995, like, he was
He
amazing.
exuded cool.
And I was never like a Mariners fan, but it was always like, well, I love Griffey. Everybody loved Griffey.
Yeah.
The only people that didn't love Griffey were like the contrarians that didn't want to love Griffey.
Yeah.
Like he's never going to be probably viewed as one of the best baseball players because of the injuries that kind of derailed his career a little bit. Like, I think Mike Trout's already a better player than Ken Griffey ever was. But from an element of just effortless cool, no one I can even think of comes close in any sector of anything.
Over there at Baseballism, they have a hat where on it is a silhouette of Ken Griffey Jr. wearing a backwards hat. And that you see that and you know
Is
immediately.
that the one with the bubble gum?
There's that one, but there's another one too. And it's like the fact that you can see that hat and you immediately are like, oh, I know who that is. I mean, it just says so much about him. You know, it's funny you say that about him versus Michael Jordan in terms of cool. Because when I watch The Last Dance and I see like his entire career, one of my takeaways is like, I don't know if Michael Jordan is like cool in the traditional sense. You know, he's cool because he's Michael Jordan, if that makes sense. Whereas Ken Griffey Jr., I feel like no matter what he did in life, he would have been considered a cool person that you would have wanted to have around. By the way, I pulled up his baseball reference page. It's so sad when you get to the Cincinnati part and the rest of his career. First of all, that there are that many years after that, and just that the numbers don't match up with 48 home runs, 56 home runs, 56 home runs, 49 home runs, 40 home runs. It's like, oh, man, that's such a bummer.
Yeah.
He had 40 home runs, by the way, through 111 games in the strike-shortened year.
94.
Yeah.
You go look at 94, you have Tony Gwynn threatening to hit 400.
You have the Expos.
You have Albert Bell in Cleveland, and the Expos are like the best teams in baseball at that time.
Wasn't there another guy? Let me see if I can
Frank
find
Thomas was challenging for the Triple Crown.
I believe there was another player. Oh, yeah, Matt Williams was on pace for, I believe, to break the Roger Maris record. He had 43 home runs when the season ended. Jeff Bagwell was there at 39. Yeah. Frank Thomas.
The 94 what-if scenarios are incredible.
Well, the Braves aren't going to win 14 straight divisions because they weren't in first place, and I don't know how far behind they were, Josh, as our Braves expert. What was that?
Yeah, he doesn't. Is Josh a Braves guy?
Oh, huge Braves guy.
I did not know that.
Really?
Yeah, no clue.
Oh yeah, big Braves guy.
At Big Braves guy.
His Twitter, not handle, but his name on Twitter said like World Series champion Josh Otson or whatever. Like when I first met Josh, that's like what his Twitter was for like the longest
start calling
time.
him BBG from now on.
Big Braves guy.
Was World Series champion parentheses fan. My wife said, "Okay, the next baseball season has started. You can take that down now." And I said, "No. They are still the World Series
He left
champions.
it up the whole year.
So
The whole year.
I don't know if Josh is a golfer, but some of the coolest head covers I've ever seen. It was this like 17-year-old high school kid hitting in this bay next to me at like we're hitting in like a heated area that you hit outside. It's nice. Like in the winter, you can go swing. And so I like try to compliment him on his head covers. His head covers were all like newspaper clippings of the 2021 season.
Oh, that's cool.
With like Braves, like, you know, walk off. And it's like you have the World Series playoffs are in there, but also like regular season games. Like they're all just like the headlines with like the date from various newspapers that covered it. Or like when they won the World Series, I think it was like the New York Times was like that one. But it was really, really cool. So if you play golf, and even if you don't, you should just own those.
Just get the head covers just to have them. El Scorcho says, Ken Griffey Baseball on Super Nintendo is the greatest video game of all time.
The other thing about Griffey versus Jordan, and there's, you know, again, there's no real comparison in terms of greatness of the sport, but like when Griffey endorsed something, it made it just, I don't know. It's like hard for me to explain the level of popularity that he was the biggest thing in the world to me in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
Like when I first was really getting into sports, and it's just like, oh, he's got this video game. And you just wanted to play that all the time. And I was super jealous my neighbors had it, and I didn't. I could only play it at their house. And then we had an N64, and then I got that. It was incredible.
The Columbus Video Game Boys.
Yeah. I think you could ask anybody in their 30s, like mid-30s to early 40s, Ken Griffey Jr., biggest thing in the world in the 90s in baseball. Like, I don't know that there's anything
I was going to say, what would even be second? I mean, like, because if you were to say biggest 90s baseball things, I mean, I think you would start and end with the home run chase. But if you're just talking about individual players,
you'd have that 98 season, like you said. You'd have a lot of like Yankees, Derek Jeter for
sure.
And then you get the Braves people talking about Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine and their dominance in that decade. But just from an individual face
who owned the sport,
it was Ken Griffey Jr. for basically 1990 to 1998.
See, and that's the thing. That's why he owns the sport maybe a bit more than Jeter for the course of the entire 90s, because he has the early portion of the decade, whereas Jeter had the latter portion of the decade.
Jeter was never cool to me.
No.
People think Jeter's cool.
I think he's
certainly
a dork.
The dating life and everything like that.
Yeah, that took on its own like legend,
But he was never like effortless in the way that Griffey is.
Effortless, cool.
Insane.
Yeah.
Just insane.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Come get a Ken Griffey Jr. hat.
Player like that sense either. Like that's the other thing. Shohei's the closest that I've felt.
But he's not like cool that way. He's like insane.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
It's
an entirely different thing. But I will say this: being at games, and I've gone to several now with Shohei playing, and the way the crowd reacts when he is up.
I bet it's awesome.
And then the just elation from everyone, home fans, away fans, Angels fans, opponents fans, when he hits a home run.
Yeah.
Because people know what they're watching.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That's speaking of the word cool. That sounds awesome. That sounds cool. I want to go to a Shohei Ohtani game so bad, just for that reason alone.
I have definitely, so like obviously I care a lot about my teams, but at this point, as I've gotten older, it's like I kind of want to just go watch athletes in their element and just sort of enjoy that too.
Yeah. Interesting. We are powered by Access Bank, here for a reason. Yours. Speaking of home runs, hit a home run with down home Southern style barbecue from the Rib Shack Smokehouse, 108th and Q, and RibShackSmokehouse.com. Coming up in hour number 2 of our special here down at the Men's College World Series, the zoo stops by. Schaefer has a question. Well, he has 2 questions. He has a question to set up the main question, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. So we'll talk about that. Still have a bunch of stuff to get to. Let me ask you this real quick before we finish up the hour. What are you hoping for with the U.S. Open over the next couple of days?
Rory to win it,
and
then just trashes the PGA in his celebration speech. And he basically unleashes a new, and I really like Rory, so that way
he's 2 back right now, 2 strokes back.
He basically just goes on a like vendetta charged run throughout the rest of the summer. He wins this. He wins the British.
He's like Steve Buscemi and Billy Madison. He's crossing off names.
Yeah. He's just like furious at golf, and he just unleashes.
Are any of you guys wrestling fans?
Not really.
familiar, but I don't follow
Well,
it the
there's
way
this
that I
moment
used to.
where a man named Stone Cold Steve Austin won a prestigious wrestling tournament and went on a
King of the Ring.
electrifying promo.
King of the Ring,
King of the Ring.
1996.
And he said Austin 316
Yeah.
means I just kicked your ass. That's what I want from Rory this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
I would love it. I would love it if like Rory just goes all in on being this sort of like in between heel face, people rooting for him, but he's just constantly running down the organization for their decision making. Well, he's just winning tournament after tournament.
Are you rooting for Ricky Fowler at all?
I'm not. I was just talking to Shelby about this. She's big into golf, so we talk about golf a lot. She really liked Ricky, and I was just saying like I don't have any affinity for him. I think it would be cool for the narrative of this was a guy that finished second in every major one year, was once one of the top players in the world.
We thought he was the next guy.
Completely fell off.
Yeah.
And so it's
Welcome back to the Omaha Baseball Village. Josh Peterson, Mike Schaefer with you. Hour 2 of this special show presented by Nebraska Medicine. Home is where your health is. We are also powered by Children's Hospital and Medical Center in Omaha. And I have been saying this for the last couple of days, Mr. Mike Schaefer. We are joined by the Omaha Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium, the #1 zoo in the nation. All new tailgate days going on now. You can visit omahazoo.com. We are now literally joined by someone from the zoo. That is Taylor Yah, the director of animal health at the Henry Dorley Zoo. Taylor, thank you for stopping by. How are you today?
I'm good. Good morning, Josh, Mike. Glad to be here.
We are so incredibly happy to have you. Schaefer wants to dive into a bunch of different things.
Yeah, I have too many questions.
I think you should lead the conversation. I love the question that you were about to ask him off the air that now you can ask him on the air.
So, I mean, we just got done of me gushing about Ken Griffey Jr. in the 90s and all of that. When I was young, I've always really liked animals. I was like always tell my mom and dad that I was going to grow up and be a zookeeper, even though I don't really know what that means. But in a lot of children's books, they're zookeepers. Like, you know it, you know the word. So what distinguishes, like, what makes a zookeeper versus someone who happens to work at a zoo? Like, what's the distinguishing thing there?
Great question. Yeah, common misconception is that everybody at the zoo is a zookeeper.
I literally just asked him that off air, and he's like, no, you're wrong. So we got that out of the way, which is good.
Yep, for sure.
No, we have a close to 140 zookeepers at the zoo that take care of the animals every day. They're our front line. They know those animals probably better than they know their own family members. You know, they're working with these animals 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, so they know everything about the animals. But aside from that, it really takes a full team of people. So we have I get to lead the veterinarians. So we have 6 veterinarians. We have 5 veterinary technicians. We have a marketing team, guest services, you name it. There's all kinds of different specialties throughout the zoo that kind of make the day run.
Taylor, you are the director of animal health. What does something like that entail, maybe in the micro sense and then even in the macro sense?
Great question. I still try and figure that out every day. So no, I think I have the best job in the entire zoo. As director of animal health, I'm a veterinarian by training, so I get to work with every animal across the zoo. This week, we are trying to give an enema to an insect, to a praying mantis.
Oh, my gosh.
And then you get to turn around, and then you get to do an ultrasound on an elephant. So we really kind of get to go down to the micro level and take care of every animal at the zoo. From a big standpoint, you know, we're kind of looking at biosecurity and just trying to make sure operations are running well.
Which animal is most difficult to work with? Are there misconceptions out there in the general public that you just assume, like, oh, that thing seems cute and cuddly and would be easy to do whatever, but it's actually difficult?
Yeah, I actually, you know, everybody thinks that like an elephant's going to be the hardest thing to work with just because of their size, and, you know, safety, those kinds of things. But they're so well trained. They're sometimes, I think, smarter than me. So I'd say the hardest thing that I've had is a seashell. One of our aquarists is like, hey, the seashell is lethargic. And I asked, how did you know? And I went over there. And sure enough, all the other seashells were moving around. But this one, a little bit slower than the rest.
Interesting. Taylor Yah joining us, the director of animal health at the Henry Dorley Zoo. Your background, I mean, obviously growing up, you had to have some form of a love or sort of a love of animals. Like, how did this happen? How did you get into this type of a career?
Great question. I grew up in western Nebraska, middle of a cornfield. And my grandmother and I, you know, we'd always go out to the local lake and catch frogs and different things. I always told my parents someday I was going to be a trainer of animals. And when I was in high school, I applied to every zoo across the nation. They all turned me down, except for Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium. So I started out as a high schooler training sea lions, working with gorillas, and taking care of some of the elephants. So just amazing experience that kind of launched me into my career. At the time, I had no clue there were veterinarians at the zoo.
Yeah.
And one day a veterinarian came down, did an examination with some cardiologists on one of the apes over at the zoo. I was sold, changed my major, became a veterinarian shortly after that.
Have you ever had a moment where you're working with an animal and you're just kind of like, it dawns on you, what the hell am I doing? Like, it doesn't, nothing about it seems natural, but it has to happen for the health of these animals and for everything for the zoo to operate. Like, have you ever been like working on a gorilla and then you just stop and think like, how did I end up? How did this, like, what led to this?
Yeah, I think every day driving in, there are a little over 1,000 species at the Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium. So one of the biggest species diversity in the entire world. So every day, every exam that we're going into, I'm trying to look up all the information on a shrimp to a fish or a gorilla. So yeah, every day, constantly trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Taylor, I think that's the really wild part about this is, you'll go to a typical vet, for example, and it's like dogs, cats, kind of traditional. You're having to know all sorts of things about all these different species, some on land, some in the water. How do you balance all that in your head?
A lot of text messages. So I think I'm like a mediocre veterinarian, kind of a general veterinarian. So I text other brilliant veterinarians all day long. We all get kind of known for something in the industry. Some are tiger veterinarians, some are gorilla veterinarians. So we kind of have somebody that you text. So you're kind of known for something in the industry.
What's your specialty then?
My wife thinks I need to find something a little sexier, but frogs are definitely my thing.
Is it what? How did that happen?
Somebody asked me to write a chapter, and frogs are kind of fascinating. They can absorb fluids. Like, you don't even have to drink water. You can just sit in water and absorb it. So I got kind of enamored with them. And next thing I knew, I was the frog expert in the room.
So I feel like we already know one of these, but I told you, I warned you coming in. I'm known for the Super Six, apparently, which is in recruiting. We put this whole thing together. I would like your Super Six, the 6 animals that you love working with at the zoo, and then one sleeper that you think maybe is undervalued, underthought of at large.
Tough question, but great question. All week long, we've been trying to put together if we had a baseball team made up of animals. So I'll just kind of go with that list. Giraffes in the outfield,
right.
18-foot tall. You're not going to get a home run on us. Might be some fertilization out there in the outfield too from the giraffes. The next 5, probably elephants, pitching on the mound. Ooh. That trunk is deadly accurate.
Oh, yeah, fast, too.
Pinch running, cheetah. It's just an obvious one. You got to have the cheetah. Gibbons in the infield, not going to get anything past them.
Oh, wow.
Flamingos, deadly beautiful. You might get distracted, get a couple of strikes past them. The last one, I think we were talking earlier, and sloth or the tortoise. You got to have one on the team. They're the sleepers. They're going to win.
Literal sleepers.
They're going to come through.
I really worry about the pitch clock, though, with the sloth.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's getting in the batter's box on time, and I don't think if he's pitching, he's getting that pitch out. I'm just concerned there.
You mentioned, Taylor, before I let you go, the flamingo. Would you consider that the prettiest animal, or are you someone who is kind of like a parent, like, I love all my kids equally? I love all my animals equally.
True fact. I'm supposed to say that on the air. As a veterinarian, I can't pick a favorite.
All right.
The peacock mantis shrimp is the most beautiful animal in the zoo, if you ask me, in the aquarium.
Wow. That's awesome.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
There's some little kid listening to this that's going to grow up to be a zookeeper and then a director of animal health, right?
For sure.
Doctor of animal health.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So that's fantastic.
So Taylor Yacht is with us, the director of animal health at the Omaha Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium. Tell us about tailgate days.
Tailgate days are going on at the zoo now. So while your team is not playing, come play at the zoo. We have bases set up so your kids can run the bases, and there's a dugout for the adults that you can get some snacks and a cocktail.
Awesome. That sounds absolutely awesome. Taylor, this was such a fun conversation. I loved the answers to the questions. Thank you for joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Mike.
That is Taylor Yacht, the director of animal health at the Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium. We will come back, continue hour number 2 here at the Omaha Baseball Village. Also a reminder, Country Fest is back at the OBV this Friday. OBV welcomes singer and songwriter Corey Kent to the Beer Garden stage. Tickets are $20 in advance at mattressfactoryomaha.com or $25 at the door. Josh Peterson, Mike Schaefer, Josh Hodson with you. We return next on 1620 The Zone. Hour 2 here at the Omaha Baseball Village, presented by Nebraska Medicine. Home is where your health is, and you can stop by the Zone booth inside of the OBV and register to win ice cream for a year from 10 Wally's. 10 Wally's, official ice cream of 1620 The Zone, celebrating more than 35 years with over 3,000 flavors. Benson in the Old Market, Omaha. Josh Peterson, Mike Schaefer with you. VJ tweets in, poll question, are you impressed with an Elephant's Savant page?
Baseball Savant.
So,
you know what Baseball Savant is?
Yeah.
Baseball Savant seems like the sort of thing that would have you more interested in baseball. Just like the absurdity of the way home runs get hit, or like the exit velocity on these. Like there's a guy that just came up, Ellie De La Cruz. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but this is the next big thing in baseball. Because
I've heard the name.
He can hit a baseball like 120 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Which is sort of insane. And so this website specializes in the StatCast data. You've probably heard of StatCast. Familiar with it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what Baseball Savant is.
Okay.
So the Elephant's Baseball Savant page is what
I see. Okay, I understand now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, because he also added the Elephant Savant page would for sure read 99% in an extension.
This is the release from the fingers closest to home plate.
Okay.
On a pitch.
Sounds good to me. It works for me. I understand all of these references.
I don't know anything.
LSU Rob says, do you call tomorrow Happy Sex Trophy Day to all the dads? I mean, I guess we can. I'm not on the air tomorrow, so I won't say any of those things. Probably for the best, and I'm not wishing everybody congrats on the sex all throughout the day tomorrow. Daniel Kalen was announced yesterday. He finished inside of the Elite 11. 20 quarterbacks go to this camp, right?
Yeah.
Has it always been that way where it was more quarterbacks that go than elite? Okay. Because I never knew that growing up. I always just thought it was like you get invited and you are a member of the Elite 11. So this is the big deal, though, that he got inside of the Elite 11. Because weren't there some doubters that were like, I don't think that this guy's going to be an Elite 11 quarterback?
Yeah, well, he was one of the last people invited to the field. So there's a field of 20. And it's he was put in 24/7 Sports rankings of the top 11 quarterbacks. He was number 11, actually, the last one in there. But the Elite 11 has not released their official standings, or they had not as of last night. So I think that still was yet to be. So the actual organization has theirs, and then like every service.
So this tweet, I see that. 24/7 Sports' final rankings for the Elite 11. All right, so a little fake news from yours truly. Rats.
Well, and he very well could end up in the Elite 11's 11. They don't put them as a standings, but they basically just have it alphabetical order most of the time.
Seems like everything that I have read coming out of it that has been reported by 24/7 Sports, seems like Kalen has had a really solid week. Yeah,
I think he didn't have a great first day, and then he bounced back really strongly after that. He won the accuracy competition.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
He had a really good day at what they call their pro day, where they put you through the throws that you're going to be put through at an NFL pro day for your college. And so he really kind of showcased his both accuracy, ability to kind of move the pocket, set up, still deliver a catchable ball. Like he had a really good day. He tied for 5th there. And that's what I said when I reached out to him after that. He's like, all I can think about is there's 2 throws that I should have made that I did not. And instead of being like, oh, wow, I got 5th out of this run of great quarterbacks, next day he turns around and he wins that accuracy challenge. So he had a great, run in the Elite 11. I think he's set up to have a really good senior year. I'm really excited for him, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. When he eventually gets to Nebraska, probably we'll have a redshirt year, and then we'll see, what happens after Jeff Sims. I think Jeff Sims will be there for 2 years, so we'll see kind of how things open up. It could be Heinrich Harburg versus Daniel Kalen for that job.
Man, it's been pretty obvious when talking to you about him, whether it's on or off the air over the last however many weeks, months, years. You're really bullish on this guy. And I think that bullishness is becoming really founded with him, too, with what he's been able to do lately.
I think he is, in a lot of ways, one of the first quarterbacks that Nebraska's had where and Adrian Martinez was like this, too. And I can see people rolling their eyes, but we're also talking about more 2018 Adrian versus
whatever
rest of career, where
the
the intangibles and the athletic traits are similar. Like Daniel Kalen can go throw the football really well. He can also go on the grease board and show you why he's going to throw to this guy in this coverage at this time. because he's cerebral enough to know all of that as well. So I think, and then he's just a great kid. Like, he is just a fantastic kid. You're not going to have to worry about him in that sense. People rally around him. One of the things I heard from the 24/7 Sports guys is that Daniel was really popular with the guys that were there at the Elite 11. They're all competing
I
against
was
each
going
other.
to ask you about
and
that.
Yet he's friendly, he's nice, he's engaging, he's easy to talk to, he's easy to root for. I mean, he had this throw yesterday, if you watch some of the highlights, where he was one of the few guys that put it on the money, put it in the net. Everybody that's there working with him just starts freaking out and celebrating with him. And then he does like a hip bump with one of the counselors and knocks the guy over. I mean, it's just, he's a really likable guy, and I think he's going to be a really desired teammate. And I think he's going to be a valuable peer recruiter.
I was just going to ask you,
as well.
What can all of that mean for him in trying to recruit other guys to Nebraska? And, like, I guess let me ask you this. What does being a good peer recruiter mean in 2023?
I think it means that you're someone that can relate with other recruits, that you're not necessarily pushing them to make a decision, but you're able to have conversations with them that aren't even necessarily recruiting based, that you can connect with them, that you provide rationale if you're having that conversation as to why, the school that you're at is a good spot. And then you're also someone that they want to play with. I think that's a big part of it. I mean, there's guys that have great personalities that are never going to play on the football field, but they can probably help you in terms of peer recruiting. This is someone that is your quarterback. So if you're talking about an offensive lineman, they want to block for that guy. Wide receivers, they want to play with someone that's got Elite 11, attached to their name, because they want the ball there on time.
Yes, they do.
One thing we know about wide receivers, they want the ball and they want it there on time.
Uh-huh.
And Daniel Kaelin can do that. And I think that's going to be helpful for Nebraska. And certainly here in the Metro, he's already reached out to guys like Caleb Benning and Caleb Pyfrom, and he, of course, plays with Isaiah McMorris. And, I'm sure Michael Burt's been hearing from him and everything else. So he's doing, the work that he can, and I think he'll be effective with it.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens with this guy, because as we talked about when he first committed, and you just think of the Omaha metro area and quarterbacks, and, I guess what it could mean if they had one of these types of dudes. And it seems like he is checking, I guess, a lot of the boxes that you want to see from a quarterback commitment at this time in their process, right?
Yeah.
A few months away. Well, I guess half of a year away from the first signing day, a few months away from the start of his senior season. And he is doing, I think, all of the things that, I'm looking at the list that 24/7 Sports put out yesterday. Final rankings for the Elite 11 from 24/7. All right, number one, the alpha dog is a Bama commit.
Yep.
Dylan Raiola, Georgia. A guy from Ohio State, Florida State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Texas Tech, Penn State, LSU, Florida, and Nebraska. That is like the who's who of playoff championship contenders. A random wild Texas Tech and a random wild Nebraska. Those are the two schools that you would say don't really fit in with the rest of them in terms of where they currently are on the field. That said, I know a lot of people are bullish right now on
back is a massive success, but most Elite 11 quarterbacks end up as Power 5 starters, and so it's a big step right there. All right, it seems like a good time for me to go try to. Yeah. So I'll be back.
Hour number 2, presented by Nebraska Medicine. Home is where your health is. You can hit a home run with Down Home Southern-style barbecue from the Rib Shack Smokehouse, 108th and Q, and ribshacksmokehouse.com. And Josh Otson, who is with me right now, as Mike Schaefer runs a quick errand. If you're eating delicious food, you're eating delicious barbecue, man, you got to wash that stuff down. I could think of no better thing to wash it down with than our hydration sponsor, Zen Water. Thirsty for a change. We still, by the way, have some hydration coupons if you would like to stop by. I know it's cloudy, and so people are thinking, I don't have to worry that much about the water today. No. Be sure to stay hydrated on a day like today. Stop by. We have hydration coupons for a free bottle of water. We also have a few hats remaining and some bandanas as well.
Bandana, sneaky good tool to keep the back of that neck
Oh, yeah.
dry.
Dude, I follow a lot of people on like the running apps and stuff. And
you run?
Thank you for asking. I do run, actually. I had a 7-miler this morning. So I follow a bunch of people, and they'll go hiking and stuff. And you know what is one of the most consistent things in all of those pictures? First of all, water. Thank you very much, Zen Water. But they have bandanas on a ton. Bandanas covering their neck, covering, like, I saw our good friend, Chris Whitney, who was on the program about a month ago, ahead of 150-plus miles across the state of Nebraska. He won his hat, and so it was covering the back of his neck and his ears.
Interesting.
I thought that was very well played by him.
Maybe you're going out and you're like, I'm not a runner. I don't need a bandana, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Do you gas mow?
Boom. Do you gas mow?
Do you lib mow?
I was going to say, do you lib mow? Or are you like Josh Otson?
Yeah, do you got a lib machine? Do you vacuum your lawn?
Chris, do you vacuum your lawn, or are you a mow guy? Are you a gas mower?
You gas mow or a lib machine?
We call them lib machines.
It's not a derogatory term.
Is he an
I know
apartment
it sounds
boy?
Like it.
I vacuum the lawn.
He vacuums the lawn.
That's
Let's go. Help out the environment.
We went electric this year.
And he went electric this year. Look at that.
He's never going back.
Saving the planet one mow at a time. One mow. That should be the phrase
Their
that
slogan.
they use. Saving the planet one mow at a time.
The gas mower's still there, though.
Gas mower still there, just in case you forget to charge it, to like plug it in or
you
something.
can get it done.
Something like that. Hey, it's Connor Hepper's wife.
His
who
wife.
stops by. Good to see you.
Doing great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, when we're on the air, we're doing great. Yeah, and then it cuts out, and then it just drops. So, yeah.
That's why you got to listen. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I've gotten many messages. I appreciate Jimmy Allen reaching out. My best friend David, he reaches out like, "Hey, you guys are off again," and it's like, "Thank you." Appreciate that.
Thank you, and also I'm aware.
Yeah, we know we're sitting during at least lately it's been better. Unlike the beginning of the show when we were off for 15 minutes.
I like hearing that people are listening, though.
It is nice on a Saturday. This is a random time for us to be doing content.
You're out of your weekday routine of 6 a to 6 p.
Yeah. We were just talking to somebody from Baseballism, and he was asking about the station. I'm like, yeah, man, we're on from 10 o'clock until the end of the last game. So right now it's like 10A to 10P.
Wow.
So I guess last night it was 9P.
What a marathon.
Man, I was worried. I was thinking about friend Chris. I was thinking about our friends John and Gary and Happer as that game suddenly was tied at 9:05 p.m. And I was thinking, oh boy, they're going to be here for quite some time.
Free baseball.
And then wouldn't you know it, a nice little sack fly, and then they get to go home.
Huh. Very clutch.
Yeah, not to mention it was a good day of baseball. Like,
great day.
I've been here for some of those close games, one-run games where it's like, that's not fun. Yesterday was fun, though.
Some of those 12-5 beatdowns.
Do you think, Josh, right now, Mike, I think that one of these two games, and in particular, something about the Wake Forest game, you think we could get like a lot of runs, like a 12-runner, a 13-runner, a 14-runner? You think we could get that?
Well, Wake Forest scored
a billion.
22 last time out.
Yeah. They averaged 15 runs. They've averaged 15 runs in the NCAA tournament so far. 15 per game.
I don't know if you know this. Some people are calling them Rake Forest.
Rake Forest?
So
because it rhymes with wake.
It does. People forget.
Yeah.
Could be a high-octane offense kind of day for the Demon Deacons.
There's a part of me, Josh, that after years and years of small ball and bunting and kind of maybe a disrespect for Gorilla Ball, I kind of want to see a Gorilla Ball game here at the Chuck today.
I would like it sprinkled in. I don't want every game to be like that. Just
just
like that chef who would do the salt
yeah,
bay. Is
Salt
that what
Bay?
they called him?
Yeah, like a little salt bay of Gorilla Ball.
A
just
gorilla
like
bay.
a Gorilla Bay, if you will. Like 3 games during the series. Give me just absolute madness, high scoring.
Not a bad idea. Just a few as a treat.
Yeah.
As a treat.
A little.
Yeah. For those of us who remember the Blatt, just a little treat, just a little nibble.
Little
You know?
throwback.
Like, so there's this dog that I follow on Instagram, which is such a
What a phrase.
What a phrase, seriously. I'm a weirdo. I follow a dog on Instagram. But now the dog has a brother, so the dog that I follow, I don't follow the other dog. I follow Ollie. Good boy, Ollie. Ollie,
All right.
incredible dog. The other dog, it's a puppy. Ollie has a baby brother, Tato. Well, Ollie, they say, is into the nib-nibs. Ollie, you give Ollie a treat or a toy, just a little nib-nib. You give Tato anything, Raptor chomps. Tato is into the Raptor chomps. The Blatt had Raptor chomps for Gorilla Ball.
Yes.
We just want some nib-nibs. Just
a little,
I tie that all together.
A little palate cleanser. Just a little something.
Do you follow any dogs on Instagram?
Mike Schaefer's dog has an Instagram. Is this
Slider
correct?
has an Instagram?
Am I misremembering?
I think Schaefer just posts pictures of his dog.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I believe there's an in-law somewhere in the family tree that has an Instagram page for their dog.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do a good job at keeping up with the Instagram dog content if I decided to make one for Banks. So I haven't.
People are going to clamor for it, and you're going to go, I'm just not wanting to post as much as you want me to.
I know. I'm too tired.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, what do? I have to like make him do something,
Yeah.
And
here he is laying on the grass again.
Yeah. It's exactly. It would get just a little boring. I mean, he's a fun dog, and I love him very much, more than I love many things in life. But I mean, I don't know if he is content worthy every day.
Could I tie it into something we've talked about in this segment?
Oh, tell me more.
Maybe you get Banks a nice Zen water bandana.
Wow. I should take one of those, because tonight when we take him for a walk, assuming the weather stays away, I'll be rocking the fanny pack.
Oh,
I'll be rocking the fanny pack on the walk tonight.
The Beaches Love Me Zen Water fanny pack.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We had a run on those yesterday.
A run? Yeah, those things were gone in like a half hour. People love the fanny packs.
Well, you gave him the great idea to put the treats in there. Maybe
put the dog treats in there.
Maybe those bags that you don't want to touch.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know what type of bags you're talking about.
Yeah.
We are powered, by the way, by Children's Hospital and Medical Center in Omaha. Country Fest is back at the OBV. 6 days from now, this Friday, OBV welcomes singer and songwriter Corey Kent to the Beer Garden stage. Tickets are $20 in advance at mattressfactoryomaha.com, or they are $25 at the door. We continue our countdown for that game. We were just talking about Wake Forest versus Stanford. 1 o'clock. We'll be off the air in about an hour and 5 minutes ahead of that one. I believe today, again, John and Gary with Happer on the field.
Classic lineup.
And then the second game of the day, LSU versus Tennessee. That one will be John and Gary with Nick Handley on the field, making his debut.
Big moment for Nick Handley.
I'm looking forward to listening as I drive home tonight, as I escape this area, and I say, see you later. Enjoy the game, everybody. And then I get home and I use my Zen Water fanny pack to take Banks for a walk and give him some treats.
You got the whole day planned.
I do, man. It should be absolutely spectacular. We should have a really good day of games. Yesterday, it was so funny, Josh. Yesterday, the afterthought day. We talked about it in the pregame of the first game. We talked about it in between the games. And then we get instant classics. Both of them finish 6-5. Which of the games today do you think is most likely to live up to the same instant classic nature of yesterday? That said, I feel like we're going to be due for a couple 5-run and then maybe a 7-run win or something like that.
Feel like LSU Tennessee tonight is the one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Those teams are familiar with each other. You got the number 1 draft pick on the mound for the Tigers. It's got everything you want in a marquee Saturday night opening round contest.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And of course you can hear that tonight at 6 o'clock, 5:40 pregame here on 1620 The Zone. And then that first game, Wake Forest and Stanford. Pregame begins in 1 hour and 2 minutes, and that one will start just after 1 o'clock. Wake Forest versus Stanford, or as Josh referred to them as, Rake Forest.
Many are saying
Rake Forest. That should be a good time. And then we got a couple of We got an elimination game tomorrow, TCU versus Virginia in the early win on Father's Day, and then Oral Roberts versus Florida winners bracket. We had the stats last night, Josh. Starting 0-1 in your first game, first of all, very few national champions have come from that window. So TCU and Virginia way behind the 8 ball. Not to mention, man, how do those teams recover after the way in which they lost? I know that, like we were like, wow, what a kind of a meltdown by TCU. Virginia's was horrible. Virginia's was real bad last night. And so how those teams pick themselves up off the mat tomorrow, I think is going to be something to see.
Pre-game, O'Connor said, we don't really have the pitching depth to go through the losers bracket. And you saw it in the game last night. He held on to that pitcher, and everybody watching at home, I'm sure, was yelling at TV, you got to pull this guy. He doesn't have it. He clearly didn't have his best stuff. And they left him, sure enough, the Dongtown, couple trips to Dongtown for the Gators.
The Dongtown boys.
Yes, in the 9th. And everybody who was yelling at their TVs at home went.
The multiple times, Josh. They were saying, do it now.
Yep.
No, okay, fine. You won't do it now. What about now? Can I interest you in now? Oh, still no? And it's like, by that point, too late.
And I feel bad for them because, I mean, their hands were kind of tied. Like, hey, what do we do here? What do we do? We don't have the arms. We don't have the bodies, and it bit them last night.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. I have an NFL question for Mike Schaefer. I think he's going to enjoy it. We will do that when we return. Mitch Sherman, hopefully going to join us in the noon hour as well as we continue our countdown to Wake Forest and Stanford. That game an hour and a half away. Josh Peterson, Mike Schaefer, Josh Hodson with you from the Omaha Baseball Village. Hour number 2 wraps up next on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back to the Omaha Baseball Village. Josh Peterson, Mike Schaefer with you. We are powered by Access Bank, here for a reason, yours. And the finality of this hour number 2, presented by Nebraska Medicine Home, is where your health is. I just heard Josh Hodson say, what was the word? No, or maybe he just pointed. He pointed. And Schaefer, I was like, oh no, did we get disconnected again?
No.
But it's not that. It's the rain.
It's a mosaic of raindrops on the concrete in front of us.
Not great. Connor Happer, the sideline reporter for Game 1 today, he just posted a picture of the field. They got the tarp is just over the mound and the home plate area.
I think it's going to blow through pretty quickly.
Okay.
According to the sources that I use that are the weather app.
Oh, the weather app's
Weather
been,
Channel app.
The Weather Channel app's been a bit rough lately.
Yeah, they're really trying to incorporate the ads and everything. And
I was just saying, like, they're just always wrong about it's going to rain or not.
That's just the weather right now in general.
50% chance. I mean, I guess 50-50.
Yeah.
They just keep being wrong on the 50%. Let's hope that
we
stays
want them
away.
to be wrong on the rain. No rain.
No, we don't want rain.
Josh Peterson here for no rain.
I want to eat lunch.
Yeah.
I want to eat lunch. So I had an NFL question
let's
for
do
you.
This.
So I was listening, very on brand. I was listening to an NFL podcast this week.
From The Ringer?
No, from The Athletic, actually.
Oh, okay.
So the question.
Who does their podcast?
Robert Mays and Nate Tice.
Oh, your boy Robert Mays.
My boy Robert Mays.
The guy who wrote earnestly that Baker Mayfield was going to break out into a star quarterback because of his expected points added.
Man,
off of play action.
I'm going to start doing this to you. Oh, Mike Schaefer, the guy who said Nebraska was going to make a bowl game in years 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 under Scott Frost.
No, so the reason I always think about that is there was this guy, and you know this because when the Vikings played the Browns and lost, I had to make a video about Baker Mayfield.
Oh, yeah.
There's this guy that would always get after me because I would talk down about Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
He would always use Robert Mays.
Oh, really?
It's just like why Baker Mayfield is great. So, like, I'm locked in on that.
Does that guy still think Baker Mayfield
No,
is
he
great?
does not.
I wonder why.
Because he's a Browns fan and now he has to begrudgingly root for Deshaun
Oh,
Watson.
Absolutely
and he does not want to do
disgusting.
that either.
So him and the son of Mike Tice, former Vikings head coach Nate Tice, they had a conversation this week about teams that are actively trying to win the Super Bowl this year.
Ooh.
And I thought that was fun. That's not what I want to ask you. Hey, it's Mike Farron. We're talking football, Mike. You need 3 for tonight? No, definitely not. Text Stacy. She's at Wrigley Field. Yeah, all right, I will. I want to ask you, how many teams do you think are full or bust this season?
Oh, okay.
And bust doesn't have to mean they're going to fire whomever. Like, it's just that if they don't win the Super Bowl, they will actively say our season was a failure, a disappointment, etc.
Chiefs.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to open up the list of teams just to make sure we're not missing anybody.
Okay.
Anybody else in the AFC West?
Let's
just start division
no
by
one
division.
else in the AFC West.
Like even the Chargers.
Now the Chargers made it to like the AFC Championship game. Big season for
Okay,
them.
all right.
Unbridled success.
Anybody in the AFC South?
No.
Okay. AFC North.
Yes.
How many is the question?
I got to be honest. I think that you could say the Bengals.
Oh, for sure.
You could say the Ravens.
I would think so.
You might get in. I don't think you can say either Pittsburgh or Cleveland, but I think Cleveland is at the point where that they need to win. They need to win now.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that you're right on that.
Yeah.
I think both those teams are like a step below that. I mean,
And this doesn't mean. I mean failure.
Mindset.
Yeah,
we're talking about mindset. AFC East.
Bills,
Buffalo.
Jets.
Oh, Jets. Yeah, it's funny. You do wonder how, like, you and I have had.
They might have 1 year of Aaron Rodgers. If they don't get to the Super Bowl, what do they trade all that for?
We have had, you and I, John and I have had a lot of conversations. I think all of us kind of collectively are in agreement, like, this trade makes them a playoff-ish team on the bubble.
I
right?
think it makes them the 10th best team.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier this week on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. It makes them a wild card contender. That's how we view them. Are Jets fans viewing this move that way? I can't imagine they are.
I mean, the only Jets fan I know, Mike Sauter.
Mike Sauter. Poor guy.
He basically views it as a playoff move. I don't think he views it as they have to win the Super Bowl. But the thing is, if Aaron Rodgers retires after 1 year and you didn't get to the Super Bowl, I don't know that it made sense to make the trade that they did.
It's a lot of capital to give up for one season.
Just getting to contender status isn't enough. Like, you have to do something with it. And so I don't know how many years you can reasonably expect that Aaron Rodgers is going to play for the Jets. You might only get this 1 year.
Yeah.
So
Anybody else in the AFC East?
I don't think so. I don't think the Dolphins
Not
are
the
there
Dolphins? Because, definitely not the Patriots.
But Alan Bell, big on the Dolphins.
Big on the Dolphins?
He's not big on the Bills.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Bills are in that.
But dude, they might be, if they don't win, they could blow it up. In terms of, like, their head coach. You don't think Sean McDermott could get fired?
I don't know, because, like, what?
All that talent, and they've never even made the AFC. Well, I guess they made the AFC title game, the 2020, the COVID season.
Yeah.
I always forget about that one.
They lost by about 1 billion points.
Yeah, that's of all.
And Mike Schaefer had I had a futures bet on the Bills to win the AFC. I did not hedge.
Ooh,
I did not make any money.
I was very confident, if I remember right, in the.
I don't believe in hedging when it gets to that point.
Me neither. I did not hedge at all with the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals.
Like, I have a 20-team parlay, and we're talking about like millions or hundreds of thousands. But this was like $1,000.
Real quick.
And I didn't feel like it was necessary to hedge.
Say you have like $500,000 that you could. Do you like go to a bank and say, like, look at this ticket? Can I take out a loan because I need to hedge this? Is that possible?
No.
Okay. NFC West.
I don't think banks are interested in your tickets.
All right.
NFC West, I would say 49ers are close, but I don't know that I'm ready to say that it's bust.
Because of the quarterback situation?
Yeah, it's too weird for them right now.
I think I agree, but man, I mean, if we leave this era and they never win one, and let's say they don't even get back.
They've made it, so therefore it makes it a little easy. Like, they're not in the Bills situation, like they've made it. They have a banner of some sort. It's not the ultimate banner, but they have a banner. And I think with Brock Purdy, you're probably resetting your view on what their window looks like too.
I think the 49ers want to come out of this year knowing what to do with quarterback, and then they're good to go. I think that's what I think you just want to leave this
What do you do with Trey Lance?
See, that
there's like speculation that Minnesota should trade Danielle Hunter for Trey Lance. No, I wouldn't do that. I want nothing to do with Trey Lance. He's in his 3rd year of a rookie contract, and you know nothing about him.
He's barely
even know if he could be the 50th best quarterback in the NFL.
He's barely played football since high school, man.
Right.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot.
I would want nothing to do with them.
Obviously not the Rams or the Cardinals. Seahawks, we agree. No on the Seahawks. Okay. NFC South.
NFC South.
I think it's like the AFC South. I don't think there's anybody.
I would say you could maybe talk me into the Saints because that core is just getting older and less likely to do anything.
Wow.
And I don't know that they're in position to do much this year either.
I don't either.
And they have Carr. Carr's their quarterback now. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just don't.
Yeah, I guess maybe with him.
I think they're in a spot similar to when we get to the NFC North. I'm going to say the Vikings because
I was just going to say NFC North.
You just don't, you don't have.
The window is done. It's
Harrison
almost done.
Smith is basically at the end of his career. You don't really have that many great veterans left anyways, but you also don't have a lot of young guys that are going to propel you forward. You're in that limbo period. And so it's like this kind of feels like the last year where you got to win it or you're done.
So just them in the NFC North.
Yeah, I don't think either. I mean, you probably agree the Lions window looks like it's a little bit longer. Like they're in the
Lions are in, like, if they don't make a playoff,
huge.
That would be a big disappointment for the franchise. But yeah,
which wouldn't be a surprise if they don't make the playoff because I think they have to win the division to make the playoff. I don't think you're getting 2 NFC North teams.
I guess I'll disagree just because I don't think the NFC is very strong right now.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I think we're in agreement. NFC East, obviously the Eagles,
Cowboys.
See, I think the Cowboys too because I
think the Cowboys are right there with like sort of Buffalo.
They're going to fire McCarthy if they don't reach whatever Jerry Jones
wants. I
wants
noticed
them
the
to
excitement and happiness in your voice when they said that.
Look, I do not hate Mike McCarthy. He has made the franchise better, I think, since he got hired. He has also made it exactly the same distance in the playoffs as Jason Garrett did in his best season. So, it's weird because they had just had consecutive 12-win seasons for the first time since the 90s. And I know it's pathetic, but on the other hand, I'm like, thank you. It's nice to watch a team that makes the playoffs back-to-back years, but they do have to take the next step.
Noted NBC analyst Jason Garrett.
Noted NBC analyst. Noted Notre Dame analyst, right?
Yeah, he's a Notre Dame guy now.
Gross. Come by the Zone booth inside of the Omaha Baseball Village. You can register to win ice cream for a year from Ted Wally's. Ted Wally's official ice cream of 1620. The Zone celebrating more than 35 years with over 3,000 flavors. Benson in the Old Market in Omaha. And also, we've been joined the last couple of days by the Omaha Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium, #1 zoo in the nation. All new tailgate days going on now. Visit omahazoo.com. We had such a fun conversation earlier with Taylor. I don't know if I've ever seen you, Shape, as like bubbly for a conversation as you were with Taylor Yaw, the director of animal health from the Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium.
I just like interviewing people. And
you are very good at interviewing
when
people.
it is a random job like that, I am going to have a lot of questions because I want to understand how it works. And then as a kid, like I really, it was like zookeeper. And it was like, well, maybe I should be a vet. And then I realized that there's probably a lot of school and a lot of things that I'm probably not very good at. And then ultimately I realized I mostly just like dogs. And I don't think they make vets where it's just dogs.
Oh, really? You can't just be a dog vet?
Well, you could work at like a kennel, if you wanted to do that, but I don't want to do that either.
Yeah.
And then the older I got, the more I realized I mainly just like my dog and a select few other dogs.
I mainly like my dog.
Yeah.
Not other dogs. If a dog comes up to me, I'll give it some pets.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it attention, but I don't know that I love every dog.
Your dog's awesome.
My dog is pretty good.
I like Slider. I like watching games
We
at
got
your
some
house.
good news this week. We're happy.
It was great to see that news. Oh, real quick, before we go to break, when you were gone, Josh was saying he follows Slider on Instagram. Slider doesn't have an Instagram
No,
account.
it's just my Instagram, but I don't post anything but
That's
Slider.
what we thought. We talked
I really
about.
should just change it to
Just
Slider
Slider?
J. Schaefer.
Yeah.
Just remove the mic from it entirely.
That would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
That would be pretty fun. All right, final hour of the show coming up next. Mitch Sherman, hoping to talk to him about the games today and a whole lot more. We'll get you ready for Wake Forest and Stanford.
Did you
coming
forget
up
the
soon.
team?
Hmm?
Did you forget who they were playing?
Definitely not. I got this on
Wow.
1620 The Zone. Final hour of today's show ahead of the matchup that everybody knows is coming up, Wake Forest and Stanford. And then the other game today is LSU and Tennessee. We are powered by Access Bank, here for a reason. Yours. Josh Peterson, Mike Schaefer with you. Josh Hodson here as well. Might have Mitch Sherman stop by in the final hour. We will see on that. We have not mentioned this, by the way, Schaefer, on the show today. But Bob Huggins, overnight, he got a DUI. Let's see. Oh, I guess maybe it was last night. I'm just trying to find the technical time of it. Either way, he got a DUI. Matt Norlander of CBS Sports, he has obtained part of the criminal complaint against Bob Huggins. He had a .21. He blew a .21 on the breathalyzer test after multiple failed attempts. He also failed multiple field sobriety tests on the scene. This is not that long after the controversy where he was on Cincinnati Sports Radio. Josh, I don't mean to say controversy to hide the fact of what he did or didn't say. It was anti-Catholic, and he also said some homophobic stuff.
Well, let's hold.
Yeah, he's made homophobic remarks.
Yeah. Anti-Catholic,
Okay. So that is what
groups.
Yeah, what is that? A month and a half after that? So I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. I feel pretty comfortable, Schaefer, saying I think we've seen the last of Bob Huggins as a basketball coach, and this is what, his second DUI?
I thought it was, but this only shows one DUI for Bob Huggins. I thought he had another one potentially when he was with Cincinnati or Kansas State.
Okay.
But
so
he is not.
Happened at 8:30 last night. Apparently the vehicle had a flat and shredded tire, and the driver's side was open. The black SUV was blocking traffic just before 8:30 last night, and then it was identified as Bob Huggins. So,
yeah.
And he had already been suspended for, I think, 3 games. Yep, 3-game suspension. He was going to have a $1 million salary reduction this year, and then this happened. So, again, I could be wrong, but I feel pretty comfortable in saying I don't think we're going to see him on the sidelines. He was convicted of drunken driving, Schaefer, in 2004 while at Cincinnati after pleading no contest.
Okay.
So there you go. Not great.
No, it's not. And you can't really stack those things right next to each other.
No.
In the current environment and generally survive it, even if you are a legendary coach.
Yep, indeed. So that is the update on that as we now make an awkward transition into,
I like awkward transition.
into other stuff. We were just going through the NFL teams that we think are Super Bowl or bust. I should have been counting them up throughout the process, but it seemed like we got to maybe like 10 to 12 that if they don't win a Super Bowl.
So 5 in the NFC is what I said.
Okay.
And then in the AFC.
Does seem like it's more in the AFC.
You'd have 2 in the East, 2 in the North, none in the South, 1 in the West. So 10 total teams.
10 total teams.
So a third of your league, essentially.
Who do you think, I don't want to say like would be the most disappointed, because like I'm just trying to figure out a way of
Well, you think the Bills, right? Like, that's
I think the
Bills.
Probably the Bills, because they have seemed on the precipice of it multiple times over the last year.
I would argue your Cowboys should probably be number 1, because look at the conference.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're in the AFC and you can't get through Burrow and Mahomes,
it like makes sense, right?
Okay, that's whatever. If they don't win the division, I think then that's a different thing. But if you're losing in the playoffs to potential generational quarterbacks, while you may have one of your own, you can understand that a little bit easier. That's like being a Colts fan and not getting past the Patriots.
I was just going to say, it's like being a fan of the Steelers, Patriots, or Colts in that era when there were Roethlisberger, Manning, and Brady.
If you're a Bills fan, you can still, you can definitely be upset, but it's not the end of the world. If you're a Cowboys fan and you're watching the Eagles do what they're doing, and you're not getting to the Super Bowl, and
hell, they're not making the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I mean I'm not just doing it because you're the one sitting here. I think
you're
that
right.
might be 1, and then
the Bills,
and then probably the Jets and the Browns, and then the Vikings.
The Jets and the Browns and the Vikings.
Yeah, they're in their own weird cat. In the Saints, they're in this like
what
windows closing
and quarterback stuff. Like the Browns have pressure that's different than the Vikings having pressure. In a way, both situations kind of go back to the quarterback, but for way different reasons, right? Like, if the Browns got to make the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, we're all going to be like, what? Why spend all that money? Why put all that money in escrow and to do it for a controversial figure, and you don't get any success?
And you're losing, like Chubb isn't going to be as good. Cooper isn't going to be like you're core is
You have
getting
a great defensive player, Myles Garrett. It's like you're just wasting
these years.
Yeah, you're Amari Cooper at wide receiver. Whereas the Vikings, this almost seems like a last end of the road. Because do you think that this is it for Kirk? Is this his last
If I had to guess, this would be his last season. But, I mean, if he goes out and he plays well and you don't have a natural person to hand the reins off to, I can also see with your Kirk Cousins, you try to sign another 2-year extension if you think you can continue to win in a division that isn't good. Now, that's the thing that they have going for them.
Yeah.
They could probably continue to just kind of middle out their rebuild without fully having to go into it and still be competitive enough in the NFC North because it is that bad. It is actually gives me a lot of joy now that both of my favorite teams play in arguably the worst division.
They play in bad
their
divisions.
sports.
Yeah.
I kind of like it now. I wear it with pride. People are like, oh, they wouldn't be good in it. It doesn't matter. You're going to create divisions. Bad teams get to be the winner.
I remember the COVID season. Dallas played in the worst division maybe of all time.
Yeah.
The NFC East that year was a trash fire.
What do we think the Commanders are going to be in 2023?
I mean,
because they're always sort of plucky.
Yeah.
They're never just outwardly crap.
Yeah.
But they're also never good enough. You're like, oh, I think this team is going to win.
Even when they make the playoffs, I'm never buying into them doing something well.
Because in our lifetime, they've never had a quarterback that you're just completely sold on.
Even
their best quarterback in our lifetime is Kirk Cousins.
That's crazy. And they made the playoffs with him once.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, what about the RG3 year? For that 1 year, was he the best quarterback that they've had in our lifetime? He was awesome that season.
It's hard to say because I feel like you at least have to do it for more than,
Yeah, that's fair. Gosh, he was so good.
Because if you're doing that, then Nick Foles is unquestionably the best quarterback the Eagles have ever had. And that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Gosh, poor RG3. I still remember watching that playoff game against Seattle when he takes a step and you can see his knee shatter on live television. Not fun, Mr. Mike Schaefer. Not fun. Are you bullish on anybody in the NFL right now? I have not settled on a Super Bowl pick or anything like that. Are you confident, I guess, in anything to that level of I think this team might be the team out of the NFC, or I think this team might be the team out of the AFC?
I remain an eye on the Bills just because I like the overall roster.
Are they going to turn into our Penn State?
Probably.
The NFL Penn State?
So what generally happens is that when I latch onto a team like this and I just follow it down the drain, I don't have the ability to jump out or it just goes off the cliff.
We're pretty bad at that.
Yeah. Well, it's because you just double down, then you triple down.
But we were doing it before the playoffs last year.
Yeah, well,
there was a ton of warning signs.
The Bills might be, and this is a thing, but it leads to probably a good discussion. Bills might be the most fun regular season team in the NFL.
They really are.
They have a dynamic roster. They always seem to play in bonkers games.
They play in a stadium that gives us awesome weather at the end of the year.
Their fan base always creates its own level of excitement onto it as well. And unlike the Chiefs that spend most of the year playing with their food before ultimately finishing the meal, the Bills aren't that. They're just flawed enough or they're elevator-ish enough.
See, that's what I was going to say. They are, whoa, the Bills are in the basement this week. And then the next week you're whoa, they're on the 38th floor?
Who's even in contention for great regular season team? Or most fun regular season team?
Most fun? I mean, look at them. I hate them. I did, from a pure football standpoint, watching the Eagles is a good time.
Last year, the way that they could play teams, and you kind of had to pick, okay, I'm going to stop the power run. All right, well, here's A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
And then to have two receivers like that, you have Brown, who I think is good, and he's nominally your number one receiver. I don't think he's their best receiver. I think it's Devontae Smith, which, of course, he won the Heisman, and, he's really, really good. But we might be at the point where that guy could end up being the best receiver in the NFL in a year or two if Jalen Hurts is good.
That's awesome. I love hearing that.
I don't know that you like that.
No, I don't. Those two teams, that most fun regular season teams. I mean, I do like watching Cincinnati, but they don't bring the same kind of pop, I think, as those two teams do. They have great individual plays.
Do you think Cincinnati sort of comes into this season with a little bit of an edge, a chip to them? You lost to the Rams close in the Super Bowl. You lost to the Chiefs in not necessarily questionable fashion, but in a way that
they
leaves
feel
you
like
with a sour taste.
Yes, definitely.
And you have a young roster that's ready to win right now.
Great defensive coordinator.
And, you've been right there. You're on the they might come in with maybe the most internal desire to win this year.
Because unlike the Bills have this pressure of, gosh, come on, guys, we got to do
the Bills
this.
have to answer the question of can they do
Can they do it? The Bengals are like, we know we can. We just have
Yeah.
to actually do it. Yeah, those two teams are
I'm
fascinating.
trying to think if there's a college football equivalent to what the Bengals would be, and maybe they're like the 94 Nebraska coming off of 93, where you let that national championship against Florida State. You feel like it maybe got taken away from you, or
That's who Cincinnati
Benedict
is,
or
you're
whatever. Maybe that's. But is there a closer one? Is there another one that you can think of?
I guess is Georgia before they won their last two? Because Georgia for a while they were. We're like, wow, most talented team. It's their time.
And then we're talking about Zach Taylor. Like we now talk about Kirby Smart.
That's because people still doubt Zach Taylor, just like I doubted Kirby Smart. Dude, we were still doubting him a year ago at this time.
Maybe we need to go put money on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl.
Ooh. What are their odds right now? I'll open them up real quick.
They got to be like second or third. Chiefs have to be first.
Chiefs got to be number
Chiefs,
one,
Eagles,
right?
and then maybe Bengals.
All right. Super Bowl odds: KC 6-1, Eagles 8-1, Bills 9-1, Bengals 10-1.
Oh, wow, fourth. Bills are third.
49ers also 10-1, Cowboys 14-1 , and then after that, Jets.
I'm gonna put money on the
Lions.
Bills and the Bengals.
There you go.
I'm doing both.
You know what? That
just call it.
And the Chiefs will win again.
Fade the Chiefs that way.
Hey, it's fun. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. You can come by the Zone booth at the bullpen inside of the Omaha Baseball Village. Register to win a summer prize pack of a grill, Kansas City Royals tickets, and ice cream from 10 Wallies, as well as Rib Shack barbecue for a year. 13th and Mike Fahey. When we return, the rain has ceased for now. Josh will give us the weather information for today's game.
Is he going to go stand and look outside, or does he have actual weather information?
I think he's the man. So he'll do that. Also, we're going to get a parking update from Odson as well. We're going to send him to a lot right now. He's going to run over there real quick. No Mitch Sherman, by the way, in this hour. Hopefully we can catch up with Mitch at some point over the next few days here at the Men's College World Series. We are continuing our countdown, less than an hour now away from Wake Forest and Stanford. Also have LSU versus Tennessee later tonight. Should be a great day at the Men's College World Series. Josh Peterson, Mike Schaefer, Josh Johnson with you. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Continuing the countdown to Wake Forest and Stanford, Josh Peterson, Mike Schaefer, Josh Otson with you. 1620 The Zone is joined today by the Omaha Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium, #1 zoo in the nation. All new tailgate days going on now. Visit omahazoo.com. Before we get back into the fun and frivolity that is sports and sports-adjacent discussion, it is time for perhaps the most important content shape of the day. Josh is going to tell us about the weather and the parking. Mr. Odson, how are you?
Okay, I'm doing great. How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
What do we want first? Do we want weather? We want traffic?
Well,
what are you feeling?
Like you got traffic up, so let's go with the traffic first.
Okay, the traffic is presented by Park Omaha. Make a game plan for your parking. Reserve a downtown parking space in advance at parkomaha.com. Usual trouble spots right now, Cummings Street and 13th look like the worst. That makes a lot of sense if you know your Omaha geography.
Nice.
As you're coming into the stadium, do keep in mind the foot traffic. A lot of people from out of town might not know their way around Omaha as well as you. The traffic today presented by Park Omaha. Make a game plan for your parking. Reserve a downtown parking space in advance at parkomaha.com. Your weather today brought to you by the fine folks at Air Serv of Council Bluffs, your AC comfort shop. Stay comfortable and cool this summer with Air Serv of Council Bluffs. Current temperature, 75 degrees. A very nice humidity of 69%.
Nice.
Wind 2 miles per hour.
Oh.
It looks like, knock on wood, no delays today.
Oh, that's the stuff we love to hear, Josh.
The Oma Dome intact.
That's the stuff we love to hear.
The weather brought to you by Air Serv of Council Bluffs, your AC comfort shop. Stay comfortable and cool this summer with Air Serv of Council Bluffs. Josh?
Thank you, Josh. Shafe, he mentioned there, some people might not be familiar with the geography and the streets and stuff. Yeah, I definitely have noticed that in the first couple of days. You get behind people that they're doing that thing where they're just driving slow and they're looking around trying to figure out where am I supposed to turn, The earlier you get here, the better, because you don't have to deal with as many of those folks. Or if you do, the traffic's a little thinner. Man, it was nice driving in today versus yesterday, since yesterday was a traditional work day. Saturday, not so much.
Yeah, yesterday it took me an hour and a half or maybe a little longer to get home because the interstate was just completely backed up from the moment you get out of the downtown area all the way to 680. And that stunk.
Yeah.
But today I don't have to leave at noon, and it probably won't be as bad later in the evening.
There you go. Yeah, it's a lot better at night.
Yeah.
It's a lot better because you don't have the crush of, of everything happening.
It stunk. I almost sent you a text. I was like, I might just come back and do the afternoon show and just not go home.
Oh, wow.
Well, at
Josh
one point we weren't moving, and I was like, all right.
That would be a bit upsetting.
Yeah.
Mike Schaefer was
I was just going to leave my car there.
On the interstate?
Yeah, just walk back.
I don't know if that is the best idea.
You've left your car on the interstate before.
I have, and then I've ripped out a headlight from it. Not great, man.
No.
Not great. Countdown continues. Stanford, Wake Forest, under an hour away, so just a few minutes left with us today. Question for you, another recruiting question for you.
Sure.
What type of recruiting are you expecting to see from this staff throughout the rest of this month? Because I guess I ask because I've sensed a little bit of, I don't know if it's like concern with the recruiting efforts of the staff, but I think that there's a part of the fan base, and you can speak better this than I can, just given that you are the purveyor of the Husker 24/7 Sports message board, and so you are the purveyor. I love that word, but it does seem like that the dialogue, I guess, surrounding the recruiting is like, man, they're just not able to get those high-end guys. Am I wrong on the dialogue being in that regard?
I think there's a little bit of that. I think there's a lot of whining over spilled milk with Rayola, and the March visit weekend isn't going to yield 37 commits that people were hoping for at that time. But I also think there is a little bit of wonder because you're talking about a visit weekend here where I think they have 7 guys in, and several of these, Nebraska is one of their only Power 5 offers. Or we're talking about guys, at least with my service at 24/7 Sports, that don't have rankings. And so they're going a little bit deep cut for this visit weekend. And they've made some camp offers that have kind of been like, okay. They did it again yesterday with a safety out of Colorado. Doesn't even have a recruiting profile on any service anywhere.
Wow.
So they've gone way off the page.
So they really trust
some of
their evaluations.
With some of their offers. And so for me, I have had a tough time trying to assess what the strategy is. And Yeah, I mean, they clearly really value their evaluations. You can't fill an entire class of we think we know that this kid's better than anyone else. And so what I'm trying to figure out, because you could do that when you got here in December of last year. It's pretty hard to go out and recruit a full class at the time. And so you end up with some Bryce Turners and guys like that. You get a lot more time to put it together. You can take a couple of those. I am really curious how many guys are allowed to commit out of this visit weekend, or if there's a lot of, backup options to the next weekend where it's a little bit more star-studded. And so that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye on. I think a lot of it for us is just trying to figure out what the staff is, what they want to be.
Is the question kind of to be asked right now, are they offering these types of guys, players that, for example, don't even have a profile in any recruiting service? Are they offering those types of guys as backup options, or because they see something that like literally everybody else is missing?
Yeah, that's what we want to find out. We don't know. We don't really have a great feel for that because, one, we don't know what they're going to look like on the field either. So part of what makes this such a unique cycle is that you're talking about an offense, we don't really know what it looks like, and a defense, we have no idea how it's going to play in the Big Ten. So when they're recruiting some of these individuals, and it's like, okay, well, I see he's got good size, good frame, but I don't know what this means. Like I don't know what type of safety this is relative to Caleb Benning or Peyton Morgan or Dante Carter or Malika. They have like 47 safeties on their board. So for them to offer this Colorado kid yesterday, it's kind of like, well, do you not think you don't think you're in good standing with the other 46 guys over here? Like what? So a lot of it for me is just learning, learning how they're
going to do. It's a great way to describe it. Yeah.
Do. And
like in 2 years, you're going to have a better handle on why they're doing the things they are on the recruiting.
In theory, yeah. Or we're going to be even more confused because in some ways they're choosing to go about it this way. So why? I mean, and quite frankly, they might be just that good at evaluating.
I was going to say, do you have a theory real quick before we go to break? Do you have a theory on the why?
I don't have a theory. I mean, Evan Cooper is everything that Matt Rule does in recruiting. Evan Cooper's behind. Like he is their guy when it comes to the evaluation and everything else. But it just makes me wonder because sometimes you would see this, and Mike Cavanaugh is always the example I would give. He would fall in love with some offensive line recruits that it felt like, do you like this guy because you sort of see yourself like a little bit of an underdog, a little bit of a Travis Fisher was this way. It felt like with defensive backs at the end, like, oh, I want to give this guy a chance because nobody else is. Well, okay, does he get that chance at Nebraska because you can't get anyone better? Because you think that he's as good as these other guys that are also in it. And so some of it is trying to figure that out too. And we're going to learn a lot about this staff in the coming year.
Man, absolutely fascinating. The question that a lot of people are going to ask Schaefer is, can they hit a home run with their evaluation? I can tell you this. You can hit a home run with down-home Southern-style barbecue from the Rib Shack Smokehouse.
Professional.
108th the Q and ribshacksmokehouse.com. When we return, we finish up the broadcast ahead of game one of the day, Stanford, Wake Forest. You ask every fan here, every person here, every radio person here, they know that is the first matchup of the day.
Yeah, they know that Stanford is a team that Wake Forest is playing.
Boom.
You clearly knew that with the 3-second pause in between.
Maybe I was setting up for a little, anticipation from the audience.
Could be. Maybe you were just trying to a Cardinal reference, perhaps.
Perhaps indeed. We'll come back, wrap up the show next on 1620 The Zone. Our hydration sponsor here inside of the Omaha Baseball Village for 1620 The Zone is Zen Water. Thirsty for a change. Mike Schaefer was just putting one of those hydration coupons in my face. Still have some of those to give away.
Yeah. And people, a free bottle of water. You would free bottle of water?
Look at the excitement on that. Yeah.
Look at you moving product.
Free bottle of water. Nicely done, Mr. Mike Schaefer. The other voice you just heard was Josh Otson. That's because it's time for him to give us the injury report for today's matchup between Wake Forest and Stanford. Mr. Otson, we turn the mic back over to you.
The injury report is presented by Methodist Health System. Personalized care when and where you need us. Methodist, the meaning of care. Stanford, clean bill of health for them today. Different story for the Demon Deacons. A couple key pieces out for the season in their bullpen. So keep that in mind if Wake doesn't score 22 runs and they end up in a close game here in Omaha. Wake Forest pitchers Crawford Wade and Teddy McGraw both suffered season-ending injuries earlier this season, so they'll be without those guys in the bullpen, Josh.
Thank you very much, Josh, for that report. By the way, sun peeking out now after being cloudy essentially
we're getting some sun?
All morning. Yeah, maybe that's what's all over the table right now. It's just the sun. The sun
is like sawdust.
It's leaking onto us. Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
I never thought about that.
By the way, Schaefer, Country Fest is back at OBV this Friday.
Oh.
OBV is going to welcome singer and songwriter Corey Kent to the Beer Garden stage. Tickets right now in advance. This is the place, Schaefer. $20 in advance, because if you wait, it's $25 at the door. But if you want to spend that $20 in advance, mattressfactoryomaha.com. That's a smarter move, man. I always like planning things in advance.
Have you been to the CWS opening concert? I know you used to live down here. I don't know if you ever ventured over.
I have. It's been
hot and heavy.
It's been a few years though. It's been a few years, especially now that since I've worked here. It's like I got the grind coming up, so I like to stay in on that night.
I ran into to Lanny Holstein at one of them.
Typical Lanny.
And then even more odd, a good friend of mine from my hometown was hanging out with Lanny because they happen to be coworkers. And I ran into Lanny first, and then my friend turns the corner, and it's like
small world, man. Weird. Of all the gin joints in all of the world. Schaefer, who you got today in the first game? Wake Forest versus Stanford. Yesterday you went. Did you go 0-2? I went
1-1.
You went 1. Did you have Oral Roberts?
I had Oral Roberts.
That's right. Look, you should have been right. I went 2-0.
Well,
I feel like
I should have been 1-1, but the reverse of how it happened.
That's true. I feel like I got way lucky with the Virginia one late in the evening, so I went 2-0. Who do you got in the first one? And we'll preview LSU Tennessee later on.
I am going with Wake Forest to win the title. So Wake Forest to win the title means they probably got to get out of the first game so you don't have to play all the way back through. And I think the Demon Deacons do that. Stanford has the experience. It might take Wake a few innings to settle in at the Chuck, but they will handle the back half of this game. And I think they're going to – we had a close 2 games the last couple days.
Incredible.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't think this first one's going to be close. Wake by 3 or more.
Ooh, did they get 10 or more runs?
In the total, or does Wake?
Today, Wake.
No, they come up just short. They're at 9 runs.
9 runs?
9-5 winner.
9-5 winner. I'm with you. I like Wake Forest. I think that they're going to do so comfortably. I think part of that is I don't think we're going to get 2 consecutive days of just mammoth close baseball games. And I think Wake is the best team in the country, so I like them to take care of business today versus Stanford, move on into the winner's bracket. And, yeah, man, that is so vital. Very few national champions lose their first game of the College World Series. If you want to win the national championship, you got to be like Oral Roberts in Florida yesterday. You got to win that first game.
You get the first win out of the way, you feel a lot better. You don't have that pressure sitting on you in that first game.
Bingo. You know how sports works.
On Monday.
Yeah.
So, I am familiar with how double elimination goes.
See, this is why we bring you here.
Yeah.
When we went through the screening process, we were like, hey, do you understand double elimination?
Well, I'll tell you one more thing about double elimination. If you win the first game, you can't go 0-2 in Barber.
Hard to argue with that.
Yep.
Hard to argue
you can't even argue with it. It's impossible.
That's a baseball fact.
It is a baseball fact.
I realize as we're saying goodbye, we never got a Schaefer rant today.
That's all right. I told you right at the beginning that they needed to either completely start over with Friday Night Lights or give up on it.
You did say that. Maybe we could hit on that a little bit in between the games because we'll be back before LSU Tennessee. So hope that you stay with us all afternoon on 1620 The Zone. We are going to send it up into the booth, though, in just a moment. John Bishop, Gary Sharp on the call upstairs. Connor Happer down on the field giving dugout reports and then interviews with the winner of this one at the culmination of the game. Should be a whole lot of fun. And seriously, after being cloudy and humid all morning long, the sun peaks out here just north of downtown Omaha. We are very excited for Wake Forest and Stanford. That one just about to get going. We want to thank Peter Krenzer for producing back in the studio, Josh Hodson here on site, Chris Prudon for unplugging stuff and then plugging it back in. He's done a great job. He's Mike Schaefer. I'm Josh Peterson. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and afternoon. We'll be back after Wake Forest and Stanford. Stay tuned because that game is coming up next year on 1620 The Zone. Coming up! John Bishop, Gary Sharp, Connor Happer on the call. Enjoy the baseball. We'll see you later today.
Westwood One and the NCAA Radio Network present the Men's College World Series. Sponsored by Woodhouse Auto Family and Triage.
Off-speed swing and a miss. He got him. And the last team in is the last team standing. Ole Miss, their first baseball national championship and the first national